Okay, we got Huxley today saying hi to my viewers. Both of them, in fact. Huxley is an absolute sweetheart, one of the most affectionate and loving cats and hungry cats that I've ever known. Constantly hungry. The new year is underway. I don't personally think it's off to a good start as far as the collective is concerned. I think it's off to a very discouraging start if you have been paying attention to anything in the news, which is never a fun thing to do. But perhaps we can help to make it a little bit better by doing our own share, our own little bit to contribute to the collective good. And it got me thinking, anybody that's been watching my videos by now knows I don't sugarcoat things. I speak as I see. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I share what I see as I understand it to be, okay? The world is incredibly sick. And it's not just sick in a pitiful, sorrowful way. It's sick in a way that is infuriating to those who strive for good, to those who try to live in the light, in alignment with divinity, in harmony and peace with all that is good and sacred and holy, and pono, my favorite word there. By the way, Dougal coming in here to say hello. He's a regular visitor at this point. That's the world. And, like my beloved aunt, Kathy always says, I can't change the world, but the world can't change me either. She also likes to say, the party ain't here. So, being that is the way things often are as far as the world goes, what can we do to help make the world a little bit of a better place? And not just with that as the goal, but how can we make a difference in our own little corner of the world? How can we make a difference by being the change that we seek, as Mahatma Gandhi would say? What is the little bit that we can do? And in almost all certainty, hello Cecile, in almost all certainty, it is going to be just that little bit. But don't let that discourage you. Don't think that you're just lighting a candle in infinite darkness. Because once a candle is lit, all darkness scatters, okay? But not just that. You're not expected or required or even asked to do anything magnificently huge as a mission in life, as a spiritual dharma. You're not even asked that. Almost none of us are. Very few exceptional ones are. And I don't mean exceptional by, they're so much better, they are the spiritual elite. I don't mean that. I just mean that they are outside of the norm. And the 99% of us are inside of the norm. And inside of that norm, what you're going to find, as I've mentioned in other videos, is that what you are doing is just consistent, small acts of kindness and love. Eknath Easwaran, I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly, I only read it, but he said, in innumerable little acts of selflessness lies spiritual growth. In other words, it's the small, consistent, selfless acts of love and deeds of charity that we do in which you will cultivate your true spirituality. And I alluded to that in the video where I lamented all this nonsense about the chosen one. Are you a chosen one? This is hype. Get off of that. Don't even give your energy to that. You're going to find that the reality of life and existence and your spiritual dharma, your spiritual work, what is your offering to the collective of humanity and also to animals, because in other words, I should say all life. Your little portion of what it means to become love-serving life is going to most likely, 99% chance, consist of consistent, small, selfless, humble, little acts of love. There is your recipe. There is your formula. Now, and to add to that, what Mother Teresa said. Okay, there's Orville. He wants in on this. Okay, Orville, there you go. Isn't he a doll? What Mother Teresa said was, we can do no great things, only small things with great love. You see the focus there? Do everything with great love, but don't get caught up in this idea that you've got to make some kind of a grand, magnificent plan. It's got to be big, it's got to be far-reaching and huge. No, it doesn't. Just do your share, your own little kuleana. Okay? Now, what does that look like for you? Maybe already you're doing something like that. And if you are, I revere you and I bless you and I encourage you and I support what you're doing and I thank you. But maybe you're seeking for something like, that you want to offer, but you don't know what to do. Well, let me give you some ideas to consider. Number one, stay very, very local. You are not responsible for fixing the world. Thank God, okay? And you are where you are because that's where you're needed and wanted and where you belong right now. And if you feel that that's not true, then follow that intuition to where you believe that is, if you feel that you're out of place, okay? But most likely you're exactly where you are needed, okay? And find someone. In some cases, it's a person. In some cases, it's an organization. In some cases, it's whatever. Find someone who needs something you can offer. Maybe you have someone in your neighborhood who is homebound. Maybe you have elderly neighbors who can't shovel their driveway and can't always get to the store on their own. Or maybe you have someone nearby your home who is chronically ill and sometimes needs small things picked up at the store when you happen to be going anyway. Maybe you have a disabled person living near you who's wheelchair bound and can't clean the house too well, can't do things that we take for granted too well. Maybe you have a military veteran suffering from PTSD and chronic suicidal thoughts, battling to convince themselves to keep going on for one more hour or one more day or sometimes one more breath. Maybe you have someone who recently lost a spouse, a widower, a widow. They're lonely, but it's not within their nature to reach out and make a TikTok video telling the world how lonely they are. I guarantee you don't have to look far. Maybe there's maybe there's a single mom with a lot of kids and she's worn out and you couldn't imagine what offering to clean her kitchen and her bathroom for her once a week would mean to her, to help give her a break. If you've got extra money, which I know most people don't today, but if you have extra money, maybe you give her money to go and get a massage for an hour while you clean her bathroom and kitchen. Then you're a saint, by the way. But I mean, that might be a little much for most people. But maybe you could pick up something at the store for her when she's so busy. She needs medicine for the kids or something. Hey, I'm in town. Do you need anything? Just checking in. Maybe you've got a neighbor who can't quite keep up with their vegetable garden because they're grieving the loss of a loved one or they're in severe depression. And maybe you go over and say, hey, you know what? You want to weed the garden together? I'd love to do it. By the way, weeding is incredibly therapeutic and metaphorical. Weeding a garden. It's unbelievably good for you. Maybe you could help somebody build a garden because they just don't have the resources or the time or the energy or the opportunity to do it by themselves alone. Maybe you're good at baking. Could you bake one extra pie and bring it over to the elderly man across the street who lives alone and is lonely and doesn't get out? And sit down with him and share the pie with him and have a cup of tea and a good conversation. Let him reminisce about his old memories of childhood and in the wars and whatever else he did. And just be present. Do you know anybody that's hospitalized and very likely not receiving a lot of visitors? Maybe you bring over a sandwich and you sit with that person for a half hour. Do you have stray cats in your neighborhood that are homeless and don't have anyone to help care for them? Maybe you could make one of those portable little mini shelters for areas where the weather is very cold. You can make it out of an old igloo cooler. You get a circular pipe saw, you cut a hole in it, you put a blanket inside, you seal it shut, you write cat shelter on it so that other people know what it is in case it's not taken away. And you put a couple of those in inconspicuous areas where they wouldn't disturb anybody, but they would be available for a cat. Do you know anybody that maybe broke a leg or has an injury and they're temporarily down and out and they've got dogs? Offer to walk the dogs. You making a pot of soup? Make a big pot of soup. Maybe there's somebody nearby that you could share it with. And not just go over and give it to, but share it together with. You see, the things, the soup, the pie, the sandwich, the weeding the garden, those are just the premise. Those are not actually the gift. Those are the conveyance of the gift. Those are the premise for the gift. The gift is your presence to them. Letting them know, even without saying it, if that's preferable, that they matter and they are loved and they are not lost or forgotten. And I might sound like I'm spinning platitudes here, but you may very well have an impact on somebody that is exponentially greater than anything you could have imagined. Do you have a disabled veteran somewhere near you, maybe in your family? Do you have somebody battling with depression? Do you have somebody who lost a spouse or a child? Did anyone have a house fire? Is anyone gravely sick? Is anyone bedridden? Is anyone homebound? Is anyone disabled? Is anyone overwhelmed? I guarantee you're thinking of 4, 5, 6 people right now. If you're not able to think of anyone after all that, I guarantee you there's a soup kitchen near you, or an orphanage, or a hospital that will allow you to visit people, even if you don't know them. Some kind of situation like that. How about an assisted living center, a nursing home? These are the people that the collective has forgotten, and they know it. And it's shoved down their throats all the time. Their loneliness and emptiness and non-inclusion is palpable. And most of them have no energy to even cry out about it to people, to ask for help. Oftentimes, the people who need the most help are the least likely to cry out for it. Don't make them cry out for it. Don't wait for them to do that. Rabindranath Tagore said, "I dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw," well, I messed up the quote, I'm sorry. But anyway, service is joy. I dreamt and saw that life was joy. I awoke, and I can't remember the quote, forgive me for that. I've quoted it here before. Right now I'm a little bit hazy. But the point is that you will find that in serving others, your welfare is served. You can't do anything for God that doesn't serve you. You can't serve others without benefiting you. And you're not doing this for you. There is no you in the equation. The you is collateral. The you part is just, peripheral. By the way, you're going to find yourself fulfilled when you help others. By the way, when you give to others, you'll find you are given to. So remember, as I've said many times, that we are gifted the gift of gifting the gifts we are gifted. And the greatest thing you could ever be is pure love. And the greatest use of pure love is service to life. Be the gift that you came here to be. Give. Serve. Not to the detriment of yourself, not to the exclusion of yourself, not to the overreaching, overexpending, depletion of yourself. No, just give of your gifts. Be love serving life. Let that frame and define your new year and your new consciousness and your new way of living. Whatever else you may also do. Be love serving life. Do it locally. Do many small things. Rescue a homeless cat. Adopt the most unwanted dog at the shelter. Do good because you are good and you know it.